I'm Chris now. Chris's parental enabling. Bob encouraged his son to remain unemployed. I think we don't need to go any further than that because that's appalling a statement to make if it's true or not. Since he believed that Chris would earn more money from his monthly tugboat than he would ever have from getting a job. No. I think what Bob was probably thinking of was in Chris's condition. But then again, people even less fortunate than Chris have gone out of the situation. However, this assumption was and is inaccurate. Minimum wage at the state of Virginia is at $7.25 an hour. If Chris were to somehow do a complete 180 on his life and begin working a full 40-hour week, his monthly payment before taxes and payment for room and board would be about $1,260 a month. That's $1,500 annually. Subtracting the money he pays his mom every month to live, as well as the 5% tax from his income range mandates in the state of Virginia, Chris would very likely be left with a ridiculous $8,000, which, knowing Chris, he would spend it on yet more frivolities. Contrast this with the $2,748 Chris pulled in annually from the government, and after paying off his parents, and it becomes clear that Bob's encouragement came from either thinking Chris would lose his social security if employed, which he wouldn't, or the more accurate notion that his son is a useless failure. A very likely explanation is Chris's reckless spending is that his parents are at least at fault, to a degree at least. In addition to coddling him throughout his entire life, they managed to make sure that Chris has never felt the repercussions for his exorbitant spending, or for literally anything else. By taking over paying Chris's credit card debt, regularly giving him about $6 a day for small things, buying him fast food on a daily basis, and continuing to let him blow all his money on frivolities and useless stuff, as opposed to essentials like hygiene products, courses that could eventually help him onto the employment ladder, or clothing that isn't unbelievably tacky. Whatever Chris manages to get himself into trouble, he knows that Bob will come running to his aid and defend him, and dig him out of whatever mess he's managed to get himself into, even if it is clear that he is in the wrong. This enabling is most likely an explanation, in addition to his poor impulse control, for which Chris spends himself into debt as much as he does. Fan funding. We'll go on to this anyway. We'll do this. Here we are. Financial enablers. Besides sanctioning his belief in his own divinity, there is one other way that enablers have found in winning Chris over, through his wallet. Though his situation is not nearly as dire as during the financial crisis some years ago. Chris remains as irresponsible with money and adamant not to work, as always. As a result, it is always precarious at least, or at best, providing him with money he regularly requests, whether though lavishing him with expensive gifts, buying his overpriced shoddy merchandise, or donating monthly for comics he doesn't want to make. Is a technique used by enablers who can afford it, as Sarah and Steve, and even some who can't, as Ally Heichenberg, to present themselves to Chris as being kindly and selfless, often in combination with him worshipping and joining in his roleplay. Over the years, Chris has gotten thousands from his audience in the form of donations and considerations. He has received thousands more in sales through storefronts such as eBay and Etsy. As the notice on our homepage suggests, the Quickie strongly advises against giving Chris any money, and you're about to see why. Amount: a laptop computer, a Wien in North Carolina, August 2011. Chris spoke about it in gratitude for a good person in NC. A common theory is that the laptop had been infected with a keylogger, but Chris outsmarted the Wien by upgrading the computer. One of the very few times you'll see Chris developing any form of common sense. $500, Kiwi Farms, January 2014, donated by fans after the house fire. This was actually done in earnest by Noel, and Chris responded by throwing a tantrum at him for no reason. Even though, again, this was done in earnest and without really, any double intentions, whatever. $150 from fans, September 2014. From a Kickstarter campaign in which Chris explicitly stated he would use it to buy Legos. The phrase, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me? Why on earth would anybody suspect anything less from Chris if he straight up displayed he was just going to use it to buy Legos? It's ridiculous. It really is. $1,000, D-Stex, September 2015. Donated during the climax of his review series of Sonichu to fund the production of new pages for the comic. Chris used it to buy a new bed, arguably one of his only sensible purchases in recent years, but failed to keep his side of the deal for almost 2 years. Not even worth it. $500, Kiwi Farms some user Sonic Rainboom 2015. Sent Chris a Visa containing a $500 card. Later admitted doing it to get in interesting content. It is worth noting that the absurd hours that Chris has made making those purchases, the majority of them were between midnight and 5 in the morning. We've seen this one before, and it states that Chris has went to McDonald's at least 10 times in all these transactions. Hundreds, mostly. I think I won't really need to go through all of these because I think these states more enough. Oh, by the way, you see this number here, $4,816.43 from Patreon in December 2016. Guess what it is now? It is $100. Chris gets $100 a month now from this. And if we just keep going down, 200, 600, there's a... Well, I'll discuss this in greater detail when I do the Financichu saga. Chris's beliefs. Chris believes that by receiving and spending the tugboat money on useless junk, he is aiding the economy and paying for other people's tugboats. No, Chris, no, that's not how that works. This is a damningly moronic conviction. Since sales tax goes to the state government and these tugboats are paid with federal payroll tax, where Chris is hiding the printing press to afford this discretionary spending is unknown. I love this one, by the way. Chris explaining his economic theories, horrified onlookers, people with jobs. Oh god, if I was there, it would probably be something like a mix of Lewandowski and whoever the secretary lady is meant to be. Just... Just also, in case you feel a little bit angrier than these two right now at looking at Chris, just take great comfort in the fact that even if you are not in work, you are not like Chris. That's all I can say. Interestingly enough, while he has no clue how to handle money, his life, or what he expects for after certain events might occur in the future, Chris has an unhealthy fixation on his material possessions. In Viveteg's AIM chat, he stated that he did not want to sell any of his stuff. And in the Miyamoto saga, he refused to sell anything to help raise the money for the trip to Redmond. While Chris mocked Lars' habit of buying and collecting model boats and abandons for them, after learning about it from Jackie, he failed to realize that Lars' supposed habit was directly parodying his obsessive purchasing and hoarding of video games and DLC, even for games that he did not own. Yeah, Chris just... Wow. His mother has served as a bad influence regarding Chris's beliefs in material goods, as she would frequently shop at Goodwill and compulsively hoard the purchases, which both wasted money and helped turn their house into a fire hazard. On the 16th of May 2019, Chris tweeted a screenshot of an NBC story about how ex-EPA Chief Scott Pruitt spent nearly $100,000 and $24,000 on excessive airfare. Chris then showed off his complex views of US economy by saying, "Hey everyone, here's a think piece. Firstly, if people didn't overspend so much, then there would be more money to give to charities around the world. And then that brought to mind that if the things had not gone up in price, I know about inflation." We'll leave that in there. Apparently Chris knows about inflation. Let's see how much he knows about it based on what we're going to say next. "And that more money has been officially printed and distributed over the decades." Okay, we forget that. No, he knows squat about inflation. "There would be more to freely give to those less fortunate. Why, back in the day, we used to pay a nickel for a Hershey bar. A nickel. Now it's $1. $1.50. I'm not saying 50. I don't know what on earth he's... We could be using that $1.75 to feed the hungry everywhere. But everyone got greedy for the green and didn't appreciate it as much. A nickel. Yep, grandpa people have done goofed with inflation and crap." Grandpa people. Chris, I don't know if anyone has ever told Chris this before, but I was making a video about 2 days ago, and as it turned out, Chris, your grandfather married a 15-year-old when he was only 30 years old himself. So, yeah, think about what you're saying, Chris. Please, I beg you to think. After the house fire. On the 10th of January 2014, 14 Branch Lane Court caught fire. This would undoubtedly place the Chandlers in grim circumstances, due to the costs of rebuilding the home and replacing what was lost. Some of his fans pooled their funds to send him a care package with a money order for $500. Many concerned about Chris due to his wasteful spending habits hoped that this would be the moment in Chris's life where he finally woke up and realized the importance of saving things when like this happen. Unfortunately, not even that has broken Chris's thick skull. Throughout 2014, he wasted $5,000 on Lego sets. Bob's toxic influence. According to a troll with insider info, Chris was unable to manage his own finances to a rudimentary degree even after Bob passed away, although he still has an issue with not saving money for potential emergencies. The troll also asserted that Chris's financial hardships are caused in most part by Bob helping herself to Chris's monetary accounts in order to attempt paying her out of control debts. Bob is the one who has serious debt. She fucks up Chris's budgeting by erratically taking money from Chris' account when she needs it, generally without warning. There are 2 types of Chris's begging videos. One is when Chris wants a bit extra for some Legos. You can identify those videos by how vague Chris's requests are and how relaxed Chris is in the video. Chris isn't in meltdown mode in those videos. Now, the other type of video is when Bob tried to snatch some money from Chris and Chris doesn't have anything for her. You can identify those videos by how freaked out Chris looks. He's visibly distressed and he's citing specific bills he's got to pay, usually things that seem un-Chris-like. That's when Bob is freaking out at him for not having enough money to pay her debts. The thing is, the perception is that Chris is bad with money. He's not bad with money as well as monthly budgeting goes. Despite how foggy Chris's head is, he's got enough memory to recognize patterns in bills over the course of a few months. He knows he's got to pay electricity bills and rent and things like that. And he does do the math each month about what bills he's got to pay. And how much that leaves him for Legos and food. You can't trust his begging. He begs because he wants more money, not because he's in any financial straits, that is, not including Bob. He lives cheaply as shit. He saves money by buying dollar store shit. He's the type of person to buy single-ply toilet paper at the dollar store. But sometimes he'll splurge and treat himself to things like alcohol. He does this all while meeting his obligations, like his minimum payments and his bills. Information from Cousin Al revealed that Chris and Bob had an inheritance from Bob worth tens of thousands of dollars. However, Barb spent all of it on hiring Rob Bell to defend herself and Chris from legal charges incurred after the two of them hit Michael Snyder with a car. It should be noted that a state-provided attorney would have been free and yielded for the same result, pleading guilty, for the case was so cut and dry that even a lawyer of Bell's caliber had no chance of winning it. In November 2014, Chris revealed to Renee that Barb was borrowing money from his life insurance. I do think that's I don't even know why you would even, if it's even properly legal to steal from a person's life insurance. The only person who should be inquiring about making withdrawals or putting things into my life insurance is mine alone. And I was actually thinking for a little bit of a while now to actually start doing life insurance and like an actual pension, even though for somebody my age it probably won't be until I'm 66 years old before I start seeing any signs of a pension if I worked to at least earn 45,000 a year. Tell me why Ribena Light is anything. It's even sweeter than just the full sugar one. Bank lawsuits against Barb. In 2016, two banks, Discovery and Capital One, sued Barb for not paying over $20,000 total in debts, leaving the Chandlers even further in financial turmoil. Barb herself appeared in multiple videos in 2016 to 17, trying to scam people into donating to her. Donations required serious please help, donations requested please, donations further requested please, emergency home update. In the first two videos, Barb claimed not to have enough money for asthma medication, and in the third, she claimed to need money for dental work. If Barb actually needed money for an emergency, she could simply have instructed Chris to sell off some of their possessions in the videos. Chris's toys and Barb's hoard are clearly visible behind them. Exactly, and before we get into the subject of debt, which we'll do next time, I just want to show you guys some of these videos, because please consider the approach of how these videos are done.
Oh, hello, this is Christine Chandler coming to you live from home. Anyway, my mom...
Your guess is as good as mine, as to whether or not those boxes are full of stuff that are perfectly sellable or not.
Mom here is in need of medications for her lungs and whatnot. Alright? Yeah. At least say something, let them know you are alive.
Say something, I know you're alive. If this wasn't any clear indication that I thought Barb was dead and Chris was just living with a corpse, then I don't even know if I would even do anything about this, because it's not my business. It should be Chris to call for an ambulance if he thought his mother was dead.
Well, anyway, it's $100 medication, and she might not be able to make it through the rest of this month, of which we get more money after.
Might not be able to make it to the rest of this month. Have you noticed how Chris is sort of casual about the way he's saying this? That's another very thing people have a problem with.
Afterwards, if you don't donate, so please send your donations that could get to me most direct to my email address through PayPal. Please do it very soon. Help us out here, please. Thank you.
And that's the first one. So we're going to check out just the other two. Again, I'm mostly going to kind of reserve talking in extensive detail about all of this when it comes to the financial crisis, but...
Hello, this is Christine Chandler coming to you live from home, and I definitely have a more urgent and special request. my mother really needs her medication for her asthma. That's right here. That's her right there, Barbara. Anyway, it's like $100. So we really need the money, because we don't have $100. So yeah, just like I said earlier, you can send all donations direct.
Also, yeah, that's basically the same. Also, I want to point something out very interesting is that as of this date, the 29th, Gino Samuel is actually going to start uploading episode part 50 of Christiane Comprehensive History, and it's going to be the beginning of the financial crisis anyway. And there's more, by the way. Here's Barbara again.
My name is Barbara Chandler. I presently am in need of financial help to get dental work done. That's expensive. I'm asking for donations.
I think I don't.
Towards my dental repairs. Any amount would be helpful. The expense is large. Thank you for your consideration.
It literally just comes across as just Chris just putting his mother on the camera to show it's to garner as much sympathy as he could possibly squeeze out of his mother. And finally, emergency home update.
Action.
Action.
My name is Barbara.
It's just he knows fine well his mother is not going to be able to process this. His only hope now is to just coach her through this.
Barbara Chandler. We are in an emergency situation. Rappahannock is getting ready to cut our service. That will stop us from doing anything, cooking, whatever. Please, somebody, buy the stamp.
You know, Bob, you've got quite a number of handbags in the. There's no point to trying to point out the obvious. I'm done trying to point out the obvious.
Album for $1,000 to help us with our emergency. Thank you.
Well, that was something. Anyway, if Bob actually needed money for an emergency, she could have just instructed, yeah. But what, in all likelihood, what makes you think Chris would even consider this? He wouldn't even do this, not even for his own mother. Please let that sink in, ladies and gentlemen, because if my mother was sick, no questions asked, not even a second thought, I would have just got on with it. It's what part of being an adult is. It's being responsible for your loved ones.